Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. With that being said, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night, wherever you guys are out there in the world. So the overall sentiment in the market has changed significantly, especially in the last month alone. Fear and greed index right now sitting at about roughly 52. It's been around neutral for a little bit of time now, but it seems as though we are getting into the fearful levels, which is very, very good. It's a good sign. I'll talk about why. Overall, the market did sell off much more today, and we did lose the 62K level. And I said, once we lose 62K on Bitcoin, that is the warning sign, and we retested significantly lower at about roughly $59,000 after rejecting up here at resistance of roughly 64.6K. And we're going to address the Bitcoin chart. We'll address XRP, obviously, because I know that everyone out there is wondering, what the hell is XRP going to do? Is XRP going to move? Because again, I've been seeing a lot of frustration around the market. Now, initially right now, the big thing to focus on is, are we going to see lower right now? In my opinion, I do think that we go higher in the short term and then lower in the next couple weeks. And I'll talk about why. So this is the Bitcoin chart overall. This is what we look like on the all-time chart. I mean, guys, this is really nothing too crazy. And ultimately speaking, look at the all-time high here from 2021. Look at where we're at right now, right? Go back to 2013, 2014. Right? And go back to 2017, 2018, when we started to break over those highs. So like right around this time, right? We ranged. And in fact, it was right around the end of March into April where we just kind of ranged for a little bit of time. And then in May, we started to break out. I do think that we're kind of in that similar structure where we should be breaking out very soon in the market. Over the course of the next couple weeks, I would argue that we have a nice run up to the high of roughly almost 70K. One last stab around like 58K before we go to $80,000 plus. And I'll talk about that as well. But here you have 2017, 2018's top for Bitcoin. Again, here's 2020, right around roughly November and December when we start to peak over that, and then we ranged a little bit longer, and then we went crazy parabolic to almost $60,000 in just the next 3 months alone. So again, focus on the fact that yes, we will range and we will chop, and that's where a lot of people get shaken out of. Right now, I'm not going to say, hey, this is the last shakeout, because no, there's going to be multiple shakeouts along the way. If anyone's telling you, hey, this is going to be the last major shakeout, they're wrong. Guys, go back on the historical chart of Bitcoin. Look at all of the shakeouts. Here's the first major shakeout here. Another shakeout here. Have a major move to the upside. Major shakeout. Sideways. More shakeouts along the way. Guys, it's going to happen. Things don't go up forever, right? There will be pullbacks. There will be shakeouts. But regardless, as we look at the overall chart today in terms of the fear and greed index, look at where we are at. We're basically back down into this neutral area where we were at back in January before we started to go crazy in the market. I would argue that we might chop a little bit longer here, right? There's still a lot of events this week. We might chop a little bit longer before the big swing to the upside. Now, I'll address that. I'll talk about it. This is the top gainers and also the top losers in the top 500. So anyone out there that is concerned about XRP, guys, XRP hasn't really we didn't really see a major move to the downside on XRP as of lately. And I'm going to say that with a grain of salt, because we could still see a major swing to the low. But this is what the 1 month looks like on XRP. Ever since that major deep wick back in the middle of April, guys, we've just been kind of ranging sideways, waiting for a big move on this chart. This is what the 1 year looks like as well, just sideways momentum. Nothing too crazy in terms of price action for XRP. Now, outside of that, right, there is a lot of great opportunities out there right now in this space that I do think that everyone should be looking at outside of XRP, because now's the best time to be focused on diversifying your portfolio. Now, do I think that there's going to be better buy opportunities? There could be, right? But some of these are extremely oversold already, like XDC. Right? I've been talking about XDC for a while. Guys, this is what the chart looks like. It's almost back down to these 2022 lows. I will say this, if there's an altcoin out there that's at or near the 2022 lows, going all the way back to like roughly November, December, guys, it's not a bad decision to accumulate a little bit. Why do I say that? Well, because this was basically the bear market bottom. This is FTX imploding, right? So if they're around that level, it's not a bad decision to accumulate some of it, especially considering the fact that if we are anticipating alt season happening, if we're anticipating the bull run starting up, these altcoins are going to go crazy. They're going to retest their previous all-time highs, or at least get close to it, right? Because not everything will make a new all-time high. But I do think that this market is setting the stage for altcoins to go crazy in the next couple weeks and months ahead. Now, outside of this, right, where do you guys think we are in terms of this chart? Where do you guys think we are on this chart? In my opinion, I do think that we're at that current moment in time where we're either one, at the hope stage, or possibly even the optimism stage. I think that we were in the disbelief stage for a bit of time until we broke to like $73,000. So that's why I'm saying, like, I think that we're in that hope stage on that first major swing to the low, or just possibly like chopping around that area for a little bit of time. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know where you guys think we are on this chart. I know that there has been a lot of people talking about how we're in like the complacency stage, possibly even the anxiety stage. And it's just crazy to me that people still think that we're topped out when the liquidity cycle is just beginning. And I've talked to you guys about that liquidity chart on multiple occasions. Now, outside of this, I did say, like, is there enough fear in the market yet? Are you still seeing bullish post after bullish post? What does the sentiment feel like to you? This space feels so dead right now. Life seems to have left the market with what seems like no signs of it showing back up. If you go back to the darkest times in the market, this is what it feels like right before the major rebound. There are still a lot of levels that need to be reclaimed, though. Patience is extremely important to have during these times. And yes, it 100% is. Now, I will say big shout out to Blockchain Backer, because back on April 11th, he did put out this post talking about the altcoin market chart having this major sell-off back down to these lows of roughly $646 billion before we rebound to almost like $800 billion. And ultimately speaking, like, the sentiment out there is basically dead. He had here, market seems like it wants to kill sentiment for a month. First, reduce volatility and cold turkey withdraw the dopamine with memes, then capitulate. A chance to spend the next few weeks researching where the trends are happening at, or if the opportunity comes. And now we have a pretty big wipeout of the market. I have this Bitcoin chart open over here, but I will go to the total 3, which is pretty much the altcoin market. And this is what we look like. So first off, I've been talking to you guys about how we can get another retest of this bottom trend line, and this is like right around like roughly 590 billion. We came back down to about roughly $600 billion, and now we're waiting for us to kind of range and then get that big swing to the upside of roughly like $823 billion plus. This could essentially put us on the path to having a major run up in the overall market. But if we look at this thing on the monthly chart, and I've been talking to you guys about this for a little bit of time, right? Like, as everyone is anticipating, like, oh, when is alt season going to happen? Or we have a lot of discussions about like how alt season isn't going to happen. Go back here to when we started to see altcoins going crazy in 2021. Guys, look at the MACD. That's momentum. That's bullish momentum on the overall chart. This is where we're at right now. Bullish momentum is starting to brew, but I don't think that we're even close to these like areas back here where momentum was at the highest points. Also, I've been talking to you guys about how we had this retest of this like roughly 70 level on the RSI, which is like almost the overbought territory. And then we already sold off. Now we're just kind of ranging. It's pretty similar to the same exact moment back in November of 2020, where we kind of had the same exact scenario happening, where we have these like 3 candles in a row where we're just kind of ranging sideways, waiting for the big pop. And we finally got it around January into February. I do think that the next 2 months are definitely going to be interesting, but ultimately on this monthly candle in the month of May, I do think that May could very well be the time where we have this already backtest of this bottom trend line. Now we're waiting for the retest of that upper trend line, waiting for a big breakout. And I do think that this could very well be that. It could also be a very similar pattern going all the way back to December, where we have this nice bullish engulfing candle, bearish engulfing candle in the next month, and then the next month after that we get another bullish engulfing candle followed by another one. this could very well take us to those highs of roughly like almost $965 billion like we saw back in November of 2021, aka retesting those all-time highs on this chart. I'm definitely going to be watching this closely over the course of the next couple days and also even possibly weeks ahead as we do see more and more price action really kind of show up on this chart, because I do think that this weekly candle close is definitely going to be interesting, and especially for Bitcoin, right? We're going to talk about that. But outside of that, big shout out to Credible Crypto. He did put out a post regarding his overall Bitcoin view. And we have, morning folks, I've punted along here on Bitcoin. Why? Because we've hit the orange zone from my last video update. Now, I didn't watch this video. I'm going to be transparent with you guys, but we have, I said it makes sense to consider longs. If we are going to avoid 58 to 60K lows and make one more leg up before the move down to the lows, then we need to hold here. Simple as that. Last stand, best reward or risk to reward for longs, because invalidation is so close. Let's see what we get. Now, with that in mind, this is what Bitcoin looks like. Now, in my opinion, as we do kind of range down here, first off, we got a double bottom. We got the double bottom retest going all the way back to March 5th. So this was the low that we just retested. Now, once we lost 62K, roughly, this bottom trend line, that was it, right? I even said, like, this is going to allow us to retest significantly lower. Now, in my opinion, with how dead the market is, with how bad the sentiment is, I wouldn't be surprised if we ranged a little bit longer down here, chopped a little bit longer, maybe even killed some sentiment around the altcoin market, and then we get that big pop. Now, that big pop will be up into this area that I've been outlining, roughly 70,000 to like almost 74K. Then what will happen, or what we are possibly looking at, is a major sell-off. Now, I've added two demand zones. This is the original demand zone down here at about roughly like 50.4K to almost like 50, almost 3K. It's like 52.6K. But I also have this other area up here at about roughly 56 to almost 58K. Now, why did I add this? Well, it's very simple, right? If we go back here to 2020 into 2021, and also even technically into 2022, we've had bounces from here. If we are going to retest this low, I am expecting us to have a significant move off of it, because there is so much demand, there is so much support as well around this level, that we would be hoping for this level up here to hold. That way we don't have to go as low as roughly the 50.4K to like almost 53K level. But if that is the case, and the reason why I'm going to really kind of break this down, the reason why I'm expecting us to sell off up here is because everyone is going to be expecting us to have a massive move to like 80 to 100K. During that time, the best way to catch them off guard is by having that sell off back down into a demand zone. And if we have this midline test, and this is where we hold, well, guess what? It also catches bears off guard by expecting lower and not getting that low ran on Bitcoin. And then from here, we target the 80 to 100K plus level. Now, also, I will take you guys back to the last halving, which was the week of May 11th. So as we look at this, this is right after the March of 2020 crash, and this was about roughly 70 days of sideways momentum until we started to have a major breakout. There's already major sell-offs. Essentially, you could look at this run up back here in July of 2019 as basically our 73K level that we are at now. And as you guys do see, we chopped for so long and then had a rebound. And again, we barely hit that high, and then we had that March of 2020 crash. Now, this was roughly, if we actually look at this percentage loss, it was roughly like a 63% move. I'm not expecting a 63% move. In fact, like I said, going all the way back to this chart, realistically speaking, the percentage change here, if we do get like the midline retest, this would essentially be a 20% drop in the market, 20, 18%, somewhere around that range. But regardless, during this time, we just chopped sideways for 70 days. Now, am I expecting us to chop for 70 days in a row? No, I'm not. In fact, we already had a major sell-off in the market. We go to the top of this candle, to the bottom of this candle, specifically wicks. We've already had a 20% pullback. That's nothing too crazy. That's why I'm expecting us to actually, come back up and then have that sell-off. And this is essentially where we go back down to like this 58K, possibly 56K, because that's like 25% of a pullback. Guys, typically 30% is what we pull back on. But nonetheless, if we do follow the 70-day rule like we did back in 2020, which is Really, I'm gonna say it right now. It's something that I'm not expecting because we're not going to follow everything to the T. We're not going to follow everything, precisely like we did in the past. But if this was the case, it would take us to about roughly July. Regardless, the next couple months are definitely going to be interesting and exciting as well in terms of price action. But this week has been extremely volatile. Now, how about altcoins, right? What are altcoins doing and what are we expecting? Well, if we are going to see a major rebound on Bitcoin, this would be essentially the level that we do see a rebound from. If not, if we lose this bottom level, this 59 point roughly 1K level, then we are going to retest one of these demand zones. And with that in mind, we really kind of look at the rest of the market. But what about altcoins versus Bitcoin? Because I've been telling you guys about this XRP Bitcoin pair for a very long time now, and I've been telling you guys about how oversold it actually is. And now, as you guys do see down here, the RSI is inching closer and closer back into the range. It's actually breaking over the moving average, and also MACD momentum is starting to flip while we are getting a significant cross down here. And during this time, just like I've outlined for really weeks now, and even I think the last 2 months, we have just been ranging sideways. I've been anticipating us ranging sideways for a while on this chart before the big breakout to the upside. And the reason for that is because of Bitcoin dominance. Now, this is what the Bitcoin dominance level looks like currently right now, or the chart looks like currently right now. So this on the weekly, we've gained momentum and strength on resistance going all the way back to October, and so far we have held that, and we are now rebounding. Now the question is, do we break over 55.23%, because that is a significant area of resistance now, and we need to break over that in order for Bitcoin dominance to break out. Now, if we are expecting Bitcoin to have this big run up to like 70K plus, then Bitcoin dominance will follow through with it. After that, we really kind of look for this chart to sell off in a big way, somewhere around this 58 to 60% zone. We're anticipating the sell off because as we look at a lot of these altcoin charts, specifically XRP, right? XRP is ranging sideways not only on the XRP Bitcoin pair, but also on the dominance chart as well. And what this is telling us is that we are just ranging sideways, waiting for the big break to the upside. And very similar to the XRP Bitcoin pair, RSI is now crossing the moving average, and it has bounced off of these lows going all the way back to 2019, and we're waiting for a big pop to the upside. MACD is also changing in terms of momentum. Momentum is starting to flip bullish. So during this time, we really kind of watch for altcoins to break out against Bitcoin and start gaining momentum in terms of dominance. But it's going to take a little bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight. What's going to happen is we're going to still watch Bitcoin closely, wait for the big moves in the market. Once we get this nice high taken out up here, right? Or sorry, let me get the brush up here. This is where we really watch for Bitcoin to cross either 74K, which avoids us going down to these lows, or reject up here and come back down to these lows before eventually going to 80K plus. Now, during that time and during, the run up to 80K, I'm expecting Bitcoin dominance during this time to chop to the downside, and it's going to happen slow, very similar back to 2021. Now, again, during 2021, it started slow. We look at this, it started roughly in December of 2020. Now, during this time, altcoins are starting to go crazy. It was ranging here on support before it kept losing support zones, losing momentum. That's what we are watching for on Bitcoin dominance. Now, the question is, do we lose it from here, right? While we're in this macro wedge, or do we lose it from up here in this demand zone? I personally don't care, right? The only thing that we're focused on is the fact that this will lose momentum. And then once it does, that's when XRP Bitcoin or any altcoin Bitcoin pair, and also the dominance pair, right? Any dominance chart, HBAR dominance, XLM dominance, you name it, that's when these really start to break out in a very big way. So we are anticipating that. We are waiting for that. We are watching for that. Fireworks are going to be happening in this market over the course of the next couple months ahead. And the reason why we know this is because of what the charts are telling us. But outside of that, if we are anticipating alt season, because we really haven't had an alt season, then what stage of the market are we in? In my opinion, it's either between hope and optimism, and we're waiting for that next major move to the upside. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys did enjoy the video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.